An overwhelming number of horrible calamities and anomalies have flooded this world. In the midst of all this chaos, the hero of this story has gained the unique ability to summon a door, leading to countless other worlds at any time, and in any place there. He can train and level up across the universe to become the strongest. Though beyond that door, not only other worlds await him, but also something much more horrible. So how did it all begin? Let's find out. In a hospital room, the MC wakes up to find a strange metal door hovering in front of him. It has no visible support, simply hanging there in midair, making him wonder if it's some kind of elaborate magic trick. Gathering his courage, he reaches for the handle and swings the door open. The moment it opens, he is violently sucked inside. He stumbles forward into a long, dark blood-stained hallway. The sight is unsettling. An entire corridor hidden within a floating door shrouded in darkness. Hesitantly, he calls out, asking if anyone is there. To his horror, a low, growling sound echoes back, followed by the wet, sickening noise of something chomping on flesh. Suddenly, a monstrous skeletal abomination emerges from the shadows, gnawing on a human corpse. Panic grips him, and he turns on his heels, sprinting for his life. He leaps back through the door and slams it shut, locking it in sheer desperation. Breathless, he presses his back against the door, muttering frantic apologies for disturbing the creature. Then, without warning, the door vanishes into thin air, leaving him in stunned silence. As he struggles to process what just happened, a deep voice suddenly speaks, congratulating him on awakening an ability called World Link. The voice claims that it has finally found him. His eyes dart around in terror, searching for the source. The voice, however, assures him that it is trapped in another world and is communicating through telepathy. It warns him that if he wants to survive, he must follow its instructions. Confusion swirls in his mind as he wonders if it's telepathy. He has never encountered anything like this before. The voice orders him to open his bag and take out a creepy-looking statue. He does as instructed and pulls out a small horned skeleton figurine. The voice reveals that it is a cursed statue, deliberately placed near him to kill him. Fortunately, he survived. Suddenly his mind is flooded with memories, revealing a shocking truth. His current body belongs to a middle schooler named Sheena. But what happened to the original soul? Well, let's just say it was mangled by the statue's curse. At that exact moment, the MC's real body in another world died from overwork, and his soul was transferred into Shinya's body. The voice explains that if the curse fails to kill its target, it instead grants them unimaginable power. As Shinya watches the statue begins to crack, the voice suggests he tries summoning the door again, as it now belongs to him and can appear at will, due to his World Link ability. According to the voice, Shinya has also earned the title of polite person as a result of his respectful behavior when entering the door. This title comes with a small bonus. When he is polite to others, they will have a slightly better impression of him. Shinya realizes that this ability seems to be a passive skill as he processes everything. The voice warns him that its energy is about to run out. It urges him to be careful, as whoever placed the cursed statue will likely return. Desperate for answers, Shinya yells, demanding to know who the voice belongs to. However, it only tells him that it needs his help and reveals the name of the world he stumbled upon, the Nightmare Realm. The voice explains that it is trapped in that world and wants Shinya to free it, promising to repay him someday. With that, the voice falls silent, leaving Shinya in shock. He barely just reincarnated into this world, and someone already wants him dead. Yet according to his memories, he has no known enemies. Thinking it over, he decides to keep the polite person title for now, hoping to find a better one later. Through the door, summoning his courage, he resolves to enter once more. If the skeleton attacks, he plans to bolt out immediately. He knows he stands no chance against the creature with his current strength, but maybe, just maybe, he can communicate with it. If negotiation is possible, he might be able to strike some kind of deal. With those thoughts in mind and his polite person title in effect, Shun-E steps through the door, coming face to face with a mighty skeletal beast standing in front of the monstrous skeleton. Shun-E takes a deep breath and introduces himself, activating his polite person skill. The creature pauses, staring at him in confusion, as Shun-E politely apologizes for interrupting its meal earlier. The skill seems to be working, The skeleton simply stands there listening, encouraged. Shunyi takes it a step further and asks if they can be friends. Big mistake the moment the words leave his mouth. The monster lunges at him, swinging with full force, trying to smash him to pieces. Shinya barely dodges the attack, stumbling backward asking if it was really necessary, only to be ignored as the skeleton roars and swings again. The attack misses him, but crashes directly into the floating door behind it, shattering it in the last second. Shinya manages to leap through before it disappears. He realizes something crucial. If the door is destroyed in the nightmare realm, it vanishes entirely on top of that. His polite person title is pretty much useless in a fight. Frustrated, he checks if he can change titles, only to discover an annoying restriction. He can only equip one title per day. That means he's stuck with this one until tomorrow. With no other choice, he summons the door again. If the skeleton keeps guarding it, he won't be able to do anything. And on top of that, the assassin who used the cursed statue could show up at any time. He needs to act fast back in his past life. Shinyu was a top-tier salesman, and if there's one thing he knows, it's how to close a deal this time. He steps into the door with determination, ready to negotiate with the skeleton. Unfortunately, the moment he walks in, the enraged monster roars and destroys the door again. Shinya, however, doesn't stop and comes back with another door, explaining to the skeleton that he can summon doors all day, so it would be better for them to talk. The skeleton destroys the door again, but Shinya swiftly reappears through another one, asking if the skeleton is ready to make a proposition. This time, instead of destroying the door, the skeleton, visibly annoyed, turns away and begins to leave. As the monster walks away, Shunyi mentions its left arm and other bones which appear damaged. Hearing this, the monster stops. Shunyi continues, explaining that he can offer something from his world, called calcium tablets, which will help the skeleton heal its bones rapidly. He then proposes a deal. He will provide the tablets in exchange for the skeleton's friendship. Shinya adds that in his world, they are willing to take bullets for their friends, so buying some calcium tablets for the skeleton wouldn't be an issue. After explaining all this, he asks for the skeleton's answer. To his shock, the skeleton quickly turns around, charging a plasma ball in its hand as if preparing to attack. Cheney braces himself to retreat through the door, but is surprised when he realizes the skeleton is actually offering a contract. Intrigued, he reads through the contract and is impressed by the skeleton's serious credentials. However, he is taken aback when he notices ellipses after the skeleton's name. The contract states that the skeleton is merely a 5th Division battlefield acquisition officer, also just a low-ranking pencil pusher. The terms of the contract are based on equal exchange, in which the skeleton requests Shunyi's help to regain its strength. It claims that it never makes contracts with humans, so Shunyi must understand its rarity. The contract also includes a clause that it can be terminated at any time. However, Shun-E is more surprised by the skeleton's grant and heavy-sounding title. Shun-E accepts the contract, and with that a surge of energy is unleashed. A while later, Shun-Yi's mom and dad arrive and take him to their apartment. They seem loving and deeply concerned about his health. His mom suggests he take some rest, while his dad brings the calcium tablets Shinya had asked for. Seeing his parents, Shinya is momentarily taken aback. As in his past life, he was an orphan. As they're talking, there is a knock on the door. It's the East Precinct police arriving to investigate Shinya's case. The officer reveals to them that accidents like this happen every year, and as a result, they can't do anything about it. He pretends to be excited about Shinya's recovery, but Shinya himself realizes the truth. He is not the real Shun-E. The original Shun-E was killed by some monstrous entity, summoned by the curse, as this unsettling realization sinks in. Shun-E questions the police, asking if such crimes are always left to fate. The second officer sympathizes with him, but explains that the higher UPS have ordered the hospital to be abandoned, so that there will be no future victims. Shinya's eyes drift to the officer's badge, where he notices 3 stars, despite the officer's young appearance. Shinya quickly recognizes that he holds the rank of sergeant. Shinya, feeling a bit nervous, thanks the officer and admits that he is worried because someone is targeting him. The officer dismisses his concerns, arguing that he is just a middle schooler, and that even after a thorough investigation, they found no one holding a grudge against him. With that, the officer turns and leaves, while Shinya is left with a chilling realization that the police and even the government see the curse of the Vitkin Ghost King statue as too troublesome to deal with. Even they prefer to keep their distance. But what confuses Shinya the most is why someone would use such a deadly curse on a middle schooler like him before he can dwell on it further. The sergeant unexpectedly returns, handing him a card with his robotic hand. He tells Shinya to call him directly if anything feels off. Shinya hesitates as he is confused by the gesture. He glances down at the card and reads the sergeant's name, Luo. For the first time, he considers that not everyone here might be useless. However, a new conflict stirs within him. Should he trust Luo? It seems like the sergeant isn't entirely following police orders. And if the police and government can't do anything, what can a single sergeant possibly do? More than that, whoever is after him will inevitably find out that he is still alive, as the news is already out. If they were willing to curse him once, they could target him again, or worse, go after his family. Shen-Yi clenches his fists, realizing if he wants to protect those around, he needs to get stronger fast. With determination and the calcium tablet bag in his hand, he summons the door again and opens it with his professional sales smile. Inside, he calls out to the skeleton monster, which emerges from the darkness at his command. As Shinyu offers the calcium tablet bag, the skeleton instead points toward his pocket where a tonic is stored. Cheney asks if it wants the tonic, and the skeleton summons a scroll to confirm. In return, it offers an item from its collection taken as war spoils. According to the skeleton, it is a lower-tier nightmare crystal crafted by high elves, capable of directly instilling knowledge and skills into the user. Finding the crystal intriguing, Shen-Yi takes it, excited by the prospect of gaining knowledge and skills. As he absorbs it, the crystal integrates into his body, triggering a notification that reveals he has learned Moonlit Deerwalk, a technique used by elven soldiers. This skill allows him to evade, dash, and sidestep attacks with agility. Absorbing the skill, Shinya is thrilled. With just a simple tonic, he has gained a powerful technique, finally giving him a way to defend himself. The skeleton takes the calcium tablets and retreats into the darkness. Shinny feels a bit confused about the monster hiding in the dark, despite their contract, but he decides to ignore it for now. He needs to practice Moonlit Deerwalk first. However, just as he steps out of the door, he hears his mom and dad returning home. Once inside his room, he checks the notification and reads that Moonlit Deerwalk first form evasion requires 3 agility points to use, and at least 1 agility point to even access the ability. Realizing this, he compares it to a video game, where stats increase and abilities unlock as a result. As he processes this new information, a strange voice suddenly interrupts his thoughts, questioning how he is still alive after everything. Turning quickly, he sees a creepy-looking assassin hanging upside down from his window, yelling at him to show what he's made of. The assassin instantly leaps at Shinya, who dodges by jumping to the side. Upon landing, the assassin praises Shinya for his agility. The assassin is armed with a muffled pistol and a dagger, and seeing this, Shinya realizes that the assassin has come for his life. Shinya initially activates his polite person skill and politely asks if he can help the assassin with something. Annoyed, the assassin slashes at him, but Shinya dodges again by sidestepping. After being attacked, Shinya realizes his polite person skill didn't work. The crystal, however, has granted him knowledge that allows him to see the ranks of his skills. Techniques and titles. Gray means broken. White is normal, while green, blue, and purple range from excellent to rare. The higher the rank, the stronger the skill. Currently, Shinya's polite person skill is at the broken rank, dodging the assassin's follow-up attacks. Shinya realizes his skills are useless. At this moment, Changyi braces himself, waiting for the bullet, when another notification appears. It reveals that he can trade his titles for status points. The higher the title rank, the better the points. Changyi immediately consumes his polite person title and allocates the points into agility, which jumps from 2 to 3, making his Moonlit Deerwalk skill usable. As the assassin is about to shoot, Shinya activates the Deerwalk skill, leaping off the wall and in a flash jumps through a summoned door. The assassin, shocked, follows him, but is stunned to find himself in a creepy, dark dungeon. Suddenly, Shinny appears from behind and closes the door, trapping the assassin inside. From the darkness, the skeleton monster lunges out and bites the assassin's entire body. It begins chomping on him, While its arm heals from all the calcium it is consumed. Outside the door, he takes heavy breaths, realizing how close the encounter was, and wonders if more assassins are coming. He knows he needs to find a way to defend himself and learn some defensive skills. Soon as he is thinking, a scroll summons, revealing that his sacrifice has pleased the other party. Following the principle of equal exchange, the other party offers 2 items in return: the Pale Shadow Crown and the Silver War Medal. The crown, ranked as excellent, allows the wearer to disguise themselves as a member of the elf race, while wearing the medal will teleport the wearer to elven territory. Reading this, Shini gets excited, claiming that the skeleton has truly shown its value in trade, and is showering him with goods in return for the sacrifice. Without wasting time, Shinyu puts on the crown and suddenly transforms into an elf. He becomes thrilled, admiring his new appearance as a beautiful elf, and decides to venture into elven territory the next day. After acquiring another title as he tests the items, someone arrives at the door asking for him. This makes Shinyu wonder if it's another assassin. The voice on the other side of the door, hearing Shunyu's voice, feels relieved that he is all right and introduces himself as Chun. Shinyu remembers Chun as his close friend and recalls that the day he went to the hospital was to visit him. As he opens the door, Chun instantly leaps at him, crying and apologizing for dragging Shinya into this mess. Shinya, with trembling words, assures him that it's not his fault and that it was just bad luck. Shinya's mom also arrives and greets Shun. Seeing him, Shinya asks about his dad, to which she explains that he went to Grandpa to get the super tonics, and asks if Shinya has taken one. Shinya confirms that he has taken one, and hearing about the super tonic, Chun is shocked. According to him, it's pretty rare, so their family must have really good connections. Chun then reminds Shinya about the high school exams that he needs to prepare for. This shocks Shinya, as he remembers that the original owner of the body was a high schooler, meaning he will need to take those exams. Due to the curse, he might have already missed the first exam. Chun becomes teary-eyed again, blaming himself for getting a brilliant student like Shinya into this mess, and causing him to miss his exam. Shinya's mother reassures Chun that, even though Shinya missed the strength exam, he can still perform well in the agility exam, which will help him get into a decent school. This makes Shinya realize that in this world, exams are different. They test someone's skills and stats, rather than traditional academic knowledge. However, Shinyi's concern is not the exam itself, but the fact that he is being hunted at the moment, and going out to school would put a target on his back. As he nervously thinks about not taking the exam, his mother notices the worry in his eyes and hugs him tightly. She assures him that if he doesn't want to take the exam, it's fine, as they just want him to be safe. Shinya, feeling the motherly love he never experienced in his past life, reassures her that he is strong and that she doesn't need to worry. Despite saying this, Shinya knows that if he agrees to give up the exams, his mother would support him, but he can't bring himself to do that. You see, Shan Yi's entire family, including his grandfather, seems to hold significant importance and influence. However, Shan Yi's parents have a terrible relationship with his grandfather and the rest of the family. They have never asked for help before, but since Shinya requested the tonic, he knows there's no way his parents could have afforded it on their own. They must have begged his grandfather for it. Additionally, their real son, Shen Yi, is already dead, which makes it even more important for him not to let their efforts go to waste. As it gets late, Shen Yi asks his mother to prepare a snack and begins munching on it. The next day at school, Shinya is a bit taken aback as he reads through the curriculum, which seems vastly different from what he was used to. However, he also feels a sense of safety in the school. There are plenty of people around, and he hopes that if he does well, there will be powerful teachers who can help him grow. As he is going through the material, a student approaches and informs him that Zhao is looking for him in the hallway. Recognizing the name, Shinya remembers her as the original body's friend, the one who constantly pestered him about study. When he finds her, he greets her politely. Zhao tells him that she is hopeful about doing well in the upcoming exam and aims to make it into provincial elite high school. Shinya is excited for her, but to his surprise, she suddenly tells him not to come looking for her anymore. Other students in the hallway overhear the conversation and immediately start mocking him, teasing that he just got dumped. Zhao, remaining calm, explains that since they will be going their separate ways soon, they can't continue as they used to. However, she reassures him that they can still be friends. Shinya, irritated, can't believe she's acting this way just because he missed one exam. To make matters worse, She even deletes his contact right in front of him, wishing him good luck in his future endeavors before walking away. Xinyao argues that Jia was the one who came looking for him all these years, and he never actively tried to be her friend. She was the one who always sought him out, because he was at the top of the class. The crowd hearing this starts chattering about how Xiao always tried to get close to Xinyao when he was at the top, but now, after he missed one exam, she is trying to ditch him. Suddenly, Zhao's friends appear out of nowhere, defending her. Xinyao doesn't even know who they are hearing his words. Zhao turns around with tears in her eyes, claiming that she thought they were friends. However, he knows she is shedding crocodile tears, and coldly states that while he accepted her gifts, it doesn't mean he accepted her. This comment hypes up the crowd, as they are excited to see Yi fighting fire with fire. Chania turns around, calling her out for trying to bind him with gifts, and claims that if she wants her gifts back, he will pay for them with that. He shows her his middle finger, declaring that they were never friends. The crowd cheers, impressed by Xinyao's boldness, finally seeing a main character who isn't a simp. Jiao's friends, furious, yell at Xinyao while Jiao stands beside them shedding tears. The entire crowd sides with Jiao, calling Xinyao out for embarrassing her and treating her so harshly. Meanwhile, Xinyao puts his fingers in his ears, pretending not to hear them. Xiao, however, insists that they aren't done talking, but her friends urge her to let it go. Xiao, who had intended to dump Xinyao, now feels as though she's the one who got dumped, and everyone witnessed it, tarnishing her reputation, as Xinyao tries to leave a big guy's steps in front of him, blocking his path and ordering him to listen to what Zhao has to say. Xinyao, annoyed, recognizes him as the number 3 student in their class and tells him to move aside because class is about to start. The big guy's son grows angry, revealing to Shunya that while he was gone, he has grown much stronger. He declares that Shunya is no longer at the top of their class and warns him to apologize unless he wants his bones broken. Shunya agrees to apologize, arguing that Jaw was the one who asked him to come talk to her. He then turns to Jaw and apologizes with tears in his eyes, claiming he ran off because he was overwhelmed. The onlookers are shocked to see him crying and looking heartbroken. Even Xiao feels emotional and reassures him that she wasn't trying to force him. However, despite Shinya's seemingly devastated demeanor, Sun chases after him and tries to punch him from behind. Shinya, with lightning reflexes, backflips into the air, kicks Sun in the head, and lands gracefully behind him. The entire crowd is left in shock at how swiftly he executed the move, wondering what would have happened if Shinya had put more power into the kick. Shinya, surrounded by the aura of his deer walk skill, coldly states that he already apologized and doesn't understand what Sun wants from him, as the hallway erupts into chaos. A teacher interrupts, calling everyone to the field for the mock exams. The students hurry to the field, though many are disappointed. They didn't get to witness a full fight between Sun and Shunyi on the field as Shunyi stretches. Chen arrives and points out that there's a long line for the test, suggesting they go to a nearby comic shop while waiting. Shunyi, however, has other plans. He wants to earn his new title for the day, and this is the perfect opportunity. Excusing himself to use the restroom, Shunyi walks down a desolate hallway, unaware that someone is following him. An assassin holding a pen engulfed in dark energy. The assassin enters the restroom only to find it empty. Meanwhile, he has used his pale shadow crown to transform into an elf and slipped through a summoned door. Inside, he finds the assassin's pistol, already loaded, and considers it the perfect tool to defend himself in the elven territory, even though he's never used a gun before. Taking out the silver war medal, he activates it, summoning a bright blue portal beneath his feet. As the portal begins to channel, he hears the same deep voice from before calling out to him. The voice reveals that it no longer has enough power to assist him, and hands Shun-Yi a token. Before Shun-Yi can fully process what's happened, he vanishes into the portal. Shun-Yi is teleported to a serene forest, leaving him wondering if he has truly arrived in elven territory. He notices the dagger in his hand, the one given to him by the mysterious deep voice, but he is confused about its purpose. As he ponders this, a group of elves approaches him. Addressing him as friend, Shinya is surprised by the name, but plays along, claiming that something came up, which is why he is late. He observes that the 3 elves are wearing the same crown as him, meaning they are also disguised as elves. One of the elves confidently reveals that they have already gained the trust of the elven tribe, who believe they are heroic soldiers recovering from injuries. The man explains that they plan to strike that night, kill the elven chief, and seize the treasure. He asks if friend is ready for the mission. Shinya, pretending to agree, tries to take off the crown, claiming it itches too much. The moment he touches it, the group panics, yelling at him not to remove it, as doing so would expose his undead identity and ruin their plan. Shinya apologizes, saying he was just adjusting. But with this trick, he confirms that the three are undead, to lower any suspicion. Shinya confidently assures them that he won't let anything go wrong. Internally, he realizes that the skeleton monster is the friend they are referring to, and the mission has been dumped on it. As they rush toward the village, Shinya struggles to keep up, realizing just how strong the undead are. When they reach the outskirts of the village, the undead instruct Shinya to enter by showing his badge. Once inside, he is to assassinate the chief, while they provide cover from outside. Shinya, nervous, asks if they really mean for him to handle the assassination alone. This shocks the group, thinking he is backing out. But Shinya quickly backpedals, claiming he can't wait to taste the chief's blood on his dagger. Hearing this, they give him a thumbs up, but Shinya knows that refusing would likely result in his immediate death. He also realizes that assassinating a chief in their own stronghold will be incredibly difficult. The undead escort Shinya to the village gate, where they show the silver war medallion to the guards, seeing that the guard allow them entry, believing they're soldiers from the front lines. A guard escorts them through the village, proudly introducing the countless families and beauties who live there. When they reach a door, the guard requests they enter as the chief is expecting them. The undead stay behind, urging Shinyu to proceed as planned. Shinyu walks in, realizing he has been caught up in an undead elven war. On the other hand, if he succeeds, he might earn an incredible title. As he enters a dimly lit room, he notices the chief reading a book. The chief welcomes him, referring to him as a frontline soldier. Suddenly, a notification window pops up, revealing that Shinya now has the ability to read someone's titles. When he uses it on the chief, he is shocked to see multiple high-level titles in contrast, as Shinya's only title is Polite Person. This realization makes Shinya nervous, as he understands that the undead might have overestimated his capabilities. Now it's a face-off between a polite person and a powerful elf, with dozens of titles. The chief begins by thanking Shinya for his service as a soldier, and warmly welcomes him to the village. Suddenly, the chief summons a teleportation portal beneath Shinya, transporting him to a grand celebration banquet hosted in the village. The other undead are already there, eating and mingling, seeing Shinya. They explain that the chief will join them soon, and he needs to strike. When she lowers her guard, they assure him they will create a diversion for him to attack. However, Shinya realizes that by diversion, they mean a way for themselves to escape in the chaos. This looks like a suicide mission, and Shinya knows he needs to come up with a plan as he debates his next move. A cute elven girl approaches him, requesting a dance. She expresses her honor at dancing with a hero from the front lines. Shinya hesitates, admitting he doesn't know how to dance, but she takes his hand and assures him she can lead. They dance gracefully, though Shinya remains nervous, thinking that if this weren't a suicide mission, the dance would be blissful. He knows he needs a plan to save himself. The girl holding Shinya's arm notices his worried expression and asks if it's due to the horrors of the war front. Shinya denies this, claiming he just feels bad for being a terrible dancer. He then asks for her name, and she introduces herself as Lane. Hearing her name, Shinya offers to perform a magic trick for her as an apology, which excites her as Shinya prepares to show her the trick. Lane hands him a bracelet in gratitude, but warns him that if the trick isn't impressive, she'll take it back. Shinya agrees. Standing at the table, Shinya calls everyone's attention, claiming he will perform a magic trick they've never seen before, a transformation magic. He declares he will transform himself into a human, which excites the elves as they've never witnessed such a feat. The undead, however, grow uneasy, unsure of what Shinya has planned, but hoping he's clever enough to blend in with the elves. To perform the trick, Shinya removes his crown. Revealing his human form, the crowd erupts in cheers, amazed that he has transformed into a young human. Lane, equally impressed, asks him to change back, but Cheney claims that his brothers, the undead, can also transform. But once they remove their crowns, they will reveal their true undead forms. Hearing this, the crowd turns hostile, drawing their weapons on the undead. Shinya, seizing the moment, summons a door, and steps back through it, claiming he will change back into an elf after his brothers perform their transformation. As he steps inside, he bids farewell to Lane, and the door magically vanishes, leaving everyone stunned and enraged. The elves immediately turn their attention to capturing the undead, trapping them with powerful roots. Suddenly, the chief appears, revealing that she already knew the undead had infiltrated the village, but was unaware that a human was among them. The undead, still trying to deceive the elves, claim to have badges, but the chief swiftly removes their crowns, exposing their true undead forms. She explains that the crowns carry a shadow spell that allowed the undead to infiltrate villages with their spies. Now that the elves have the crowns, they know how to counter the spell. The chief looks to where Shani's door had been and remarks that she owes him one. Inside the door, Shani feels relieved to have escaped the dangerous situation, but is surprised to notice that the door's appearance has changed to match its surroundings. He spots the skeleton monster there, casually munching on something, and starts yelling at it for not coming to his aid. The skeleton, confused, asks if Shinya is still alive. Shinya, realizing the skeleton can speak human language, lashes out, accusing it of sending him to die by giving him the crown. Despite Shinya's yelling, the skeleton ignores his rant and asks again how he managed to survive, even offering to pay him for his efforts. Shinya responds by flipping the skeleton off, shouting that he doesn't want payment, after nearly getting killed. However, the skeleton interrupts, offering him the skill of necromantic spell in exchange. Shinya pauses, still angry but intrigued, and sets the offer aside for the moment. The skeleton summons a dark orb and explains that it sent Shunya to the elven territory with the crown because humans and elves are allies. If the skeleton had gone itself, it would have been killed. To make amends, the skeleton offers Shunya a nightmare crystal as a gesture of goodwill. The crystal contains 3 top-tier evolutionary, necromantic innate abilities, and he can choose one to merge with his own being. The skeleton elaborates that innate abilities can be used without relying on mana, making the crystal incredibly precious to the undead. The skeleton adds that the only reason Shinya is still breathing is because the undead wanted the crystal for its stability, which is why they haven't killed him yet. Shinya, now somewhat interested, forgives the skeleton as he absorbs the crystal. He is suddenly teleported to a dark realm. In this realm, Shinya is taken aback by the sight of a skeleton king sitting on a grand throne. 3 glowing orbs hover in front of him, each radiating immense power. A deep, mysterious voice, seemingly coming from the skeleton king, speaks, informing Shinya that he can choose one of the 3 orbs, each of which will grant him a unique ability. The first, green crystal, reveals the ability to extract information from the dead. The second offers a bone that grants 5 seconds of invincibility. And the third is a key that can resurrect a corpse using its power. Shinya carefully considers his options. He realizes that the key is useless to him at the moment, and the bone's 5 seconds of invincibility isn't enough to make a significant difference. The green crystal, while seemingly weaker, could provide crucial information, especially about who is trying to kill him. With that in mind, Shinya chooses the green crystal. As he selects the crystal, his body is transported back to the door's hallway, where the crystal begins to merge with him. The skeleton, seeing him return, is shocked that Shinya picked the green crystal, as it doesn't immediately enhance combat power. The skeleton remarks that all the past necromancer lords chose the other 2 options. It then asks Shun Yi what happened in the elven territory. Shun Yi recounts everything, and the skeleton is stunned to learn that the original target was a female high priestess. But Shun Yi was sent to the chief, the most powerful high priest there. Hearing this, Shinya understands why the chief had such formidable titles. The skeleton sighs in relief, revealing that with the 3 undead knights captured, there's no one left to threaten it. Seizing the opportunity, the skeleton monster quickly retreats into the darkness, leaving Shinya confused but unfazed. Shinya steps out of the door, earning the title One of Us. This title, ranked as excellent, grants him a unique skill when he says, "Hey, we're on the same side to a target," they will consider him an ally for 10 seconds before forgetting everything. The skill can be used once per day, Shinya is thrilled by the title's potential. His attention then shifts to the Nature's Blessing bracelet. Given to him by Lane, it's an excellent rank item that passively increases the wearer's spirit power. As Shinyu walks back to the field, he marvels at how much he's gained in a single run. A dagger title, a bracelet, and a pistol, however. He now needs to find a way to stash all these items before anyone notices at the field. The agility test is underway, and Chun is next in line. As the test begins, Chun dashes through the course, while Shinya cheers him on from the crowd. Chun, noticing Shinya's support, thanks him and feels confident about his performance. However, he suddenly gets hit by the water, earning mocking laughter from the onlookers, who tease him for being cocky and getting instant karma. The teacher scolds Chun for his low score of 71 points, and calls Shinya, who is next in line. When Shinya's turn begins, he flashes through the course with incredible speed and precision. The onlookers are stunned by his smooth, almost ice skating-like movements. They can't believe how agile he is, especially after just recovering from the hospital. Meanwhile, Shinyu finds the course surprisingly easy, as he only needs minimal footwork to dodge the water obstacles. In the distance, the school principal and director Chien are observing Shinyu's impressive performance. The principal proudly claims that Shinya is their top student and urges Chun to give him another chance. Since he missed the first exam, Chun praises Shinya's agility, but insists on seeing how he performs in the psychic power test before making a decision. The entrance exam tests both strength and psychic power, and Chun sets a high bar, expecting a perfect score in psychic power from Shinya. As Shinya completes the course, the instructor is moved to tears, revealing that Shinya has achieved a perfect score in the agility test. After the announcement, the instructor calls for a break. Chun, excited by Shinya's impressive performance, offers to grab some fries together. Shinya, however, suggests they clean up first and meet in the classroom afterward. In the empty classroom, Shinya feels exhausted as he tries to read through the strange history and literature books, which are completely different from what he knew in his previous life. In his mind, it feels like two sets of memories are clashing, giving him a headache suddenly. Sun disrupts Shinya's thoughts by kicking his table. Sun is looking for revenge, but Shinya remains calm and asks if Shao sent him. Sun brushes off the question, claiming that Shao wants nothing to do with him, with his friend standing behind him. Sun brags that his strength has broken through to 2 points, and challenges Shinya to see if his 2 agility points can compete. Shinya, thinking, quickly activates his one of us skill by saying we're on the same side. Instantly, Sun and his friends transform into allies, and reveal everything to Shinya. According to them, Shao begged them to get back at him. They admit they didn't want to get involved, and that it was all her idea. Shinny feels relieved to hear that these guys aren't after his life. However, the 10-second time limit of the skill runs out, and they suddenly revert to their bullying behavior. Realizing that he can only use the One of Us title once per day, Shinyu decides it's useless for now and devours it, gaining 3 stat points. He instantly allocates these points to his strength. To his surprise, he also discovers that he can reallocate the points he previously assigned to agility. He shifts all 4 points to his strength, maximizing it as one of the boys jumps forward, grabbing Shinya in a headlock and demanding he face Sun like a man. Sun charges with his fist fully loaded with power. However, when Sun's fist connects with Shinya's ABS, Sun lets out a piercing scream, clutching his now broken hand in pain. In this world, the average untrained adult has a base strength and agility stat of 1. However, Shinya now, with a strength stat of 4, is effortlessly handling his bullies, slamming them left and right. This strength stat isn't just about raw muscle power. It also strengthens bones and muscles, making the person incredibly durable, almost like a tank. The other bullies, seeing Shunyu beat the crap out of Sun, are terrified, realizing he has far more strength than Sun. As Shunyu takes down each bully one by one, he complains that they made him late for class and ganged up on him out of petty jealousy. Walking up to Sun, Shinya lifts him by the neck and coldly states that if this had been any other student, or even the old Shinya, they would have ended up in the hospital by now. Sun, dangling in the air, pleads and apologizes desperately. However, Shinya isn't quick to forgive, as they tried to bully him and ruin his career. With that, he slams Sun against the wall, making him scream in pain. The commotion is heard by students outside, prompting teachers to rush in and investigate. When the teacher arrives, he is shocked to find Shinny crying and claiming that the bullies were harassing him. while all the bullies are lying on the ground. Beaten up and bloodied, the teacher is confused. Cheney clearly overpowered them, yet he's the one crying about being bullied. Other students, including Zhao, are left stunned by the scene. Zhao in particular is sweating nervously and checking her messages, confirming something. Seeing this, she sighs in relief, knowing that her plan has already been set in motion. Xiao feels a slight regret seeing how strong Shun Yi has become, but she knows there's no turning back now. According to her plan, Shun Yi caused a scene by injuring 8 students, which will be enough for the high school to revoke his exam eligibility. With this, Zhao's goal of ruining Xinya's life is achieved, and her future now looks wide open. As she ponders this, she turns to her friend and casually remarks that she still thinks Xinya is a loser. Zhao then notices Sun's beaten-up face, his tear-filled eyes locked on her. As he struggles to say something, she realizes he's trying to drag her into the mess, and silently wishes he would just die, so he can't expose her on the outside. However, she acts deeply concerned, pretending to be worried about him. As all the students are stunned by Sun's condition, Xiao seizes the opportunity and storms out, crying and claiming she's going to call the cops on whoever did this. Despite her action, Xinya sees right through her, silently, acknowledging how clever she is for throwing him under the bus. The instructor, seeing the situation escalate as students begin calling the police, tells everyone to return to their classes. He then calls Xinya to his office to address the incident. In the hallways, the school principal is busy, trying to convince the director to sign off on a few of their students, claiming they are top-notch. However, the director rejects the proposal, stating that those students don't meet the minimum standards, and there's nothing he can do. Just as the director is about to leave a school, faculty member rushes in, informing the principal about the fight. The principal initially brushes it off as he's preoccupied, but the faculty member shows him the CCTV footage of the incident. Watching the video, both the principal and the director are shocked. Even the police are surprised to see that Xinya single-handedly took down all the bullies. The video clearly shows Xinya overpowering them, which leaves the police confused. Xinya, standing in front of them, claims that he acted out of fear. The police respond that despite the video evidence, he must come with them, as the situation now depends on an injury assessment. The instructor, however, argues with the police, pointing out that Xinya has already missed one exam, and if they take him away, he might miss another. He insists that the video is sufficient for the investigation. While the instructor debates with the police, Xinya quietly adjusts his stats in the background, preparing for whatever comes next. Soon the principal and the director arrive in the room. The principal declares that given the severity of the injuries, Xinya will likely be expelled. Director Chen, however, observes that Xinya is physically far beyond their league, and after watching the video, even speculates that Xinya was holding back during the fight. Xinya confirms this, admitting that he restrained himself because he was afraid of killing them. Impressed, Director Chun hands Chunya his business card, expressing his desire to talk further, as Chunya seems worthy of his recommendation. Chunya reads the card and is shocked to discover that the man standing before him is the regional director of the Human Martial Arts Group. This organization holds all the knowledge and books about martial arts, and for an ordinary person, gaining entry is like winning the lottery, a one-way path to greatness. Xinya, observing Qian, realizes that the man is completely impenetrable. No matter how much Xinya tries to assess or distribute his stats, he knows he couldn't lay a finger on Qian. Chun, with a cigarette in his mouth, asks Shun Yi about his strength number, estimating it to be at least 4.5, according to the Cyranic system, which accurately assesses a person's overall capabilities. Shun Yi reveals that his strength is actually 5, while internally wondering what would be like to become a student of someone as powerful as Chen. Hearing this, both the principal and the instructor are shocked, while Qian is visibly impressed. Xinya, somewhat puzzled, asks if having a strength of 5 is a big deal. Qian explains that for a middle school student, a strength of 4.5 is enough to catch attention. But Shinya's strength of 5 allows him to operate certain combat mechs and wield standard-issue ancient weapons. Qian offers Shinya a retest for his strength if he decides to join him, ensuring that his talent isn't overlooked. Shinya excitedly accepts the offer, and Qian prepares to leave, assuring him that someone will be in touch to make the necessary arrangements. He also advises Shinya to prepare for the retest, as Chun is about to leave. He turns back and asks Shinya about his psychic power stat. Shinya, with an excited expression, reveals that it's 3, thinking it might be impressive. Hearing this, the cigarette falls from Chen's mouth, and everyone in the room is stunned, their eyes wide with shock at such a high score. To test Chunyi, Chen asks him to move a chair in front of them using his psychic power, which would prove his abilities. Chunyi agrees, and by allocating his 3 psychic points, easily lifts the chair. Seeing this, the police officers decide they've had enough. They realize they don't want to mess with Chunyi, as he is clearly destined for greatness. With such extraordinary stats at such a young age, they leave, deciding they can't deal with him. Shinya, after holding the chair up for a few seconds, drops it and claims that it's his limit, downplaying his abilities to avoid drawing too much attention. Seeing this, Chen is visibly excited and starts singing praises for Shinya. The others present are also amazed by how well Chen sings, though Shinya finds the whole situation a bit strange. Xian asks everyone to excuse them, as he wants to have a private word with Shinya. Once they're alone, Xian asks Shinya about his life goals. Shinya responds that Xian himself is his goal, which flatters Xian, but he insists on knowing what Shinya truly wants. Thinking about the assassination attempts on him, Shinya reveals that he wants to become strong enough to protect himself, and his family Qian finds this answer wise and assures Shinya that today is the day he can start achieving that goal. Xian then asks Shinya to attack him. Misunderstanding Shinya, starts trash-talking, calling Xian a greasy old man. Xian quickly corrects him, explaining that he meant for Shinya to attack him with his fists. Realizing this, Shinai reallocates his points to strength and with all his might, sends a punch toward Shin. However, something stops him mid-attack, leaving him immobilized. Chen explains that this is a technique used to immobilize an attacker, and Shinya should learn it to better protect himself. To demonstrate further, Chen takes out a pistol from his pocket and shoots himself in the head. To Shinya's shock, the bullet stops just inches away from Chen's head. Chen explains that even a sniper would be no match for this technique. Hearing this, Shinya remarks that there are no attacks that can't be countered, and no defenses that can't be broken. Xian finds this saying profound, and invites Shunyu to join their Hidden Dragon Project, a program within the organization dedicated to cultivating rising stars. Kane reveals that they will recommend Shinyi to 3 of the best high schools in the world, but before that he must pass a rigorous exam, specifically designed for these prestigious institutions. These schools cater to noble families who possess ancient knowledge, wealth artifacts, and bloodline packs. These families also control vast tracts of land, which separates them from common folk by an insurmountable chasm. Hearing this, Shinya realizes that his grandfather might be from one of these noble families. Chun continues, explaining that the Hidden Dragon Project is essentially a talent hunt among common people, aiming to bring exceptional individuals into these elite academies. He tells Shinya that if he manages to pass the exam, he will have the choice to attend any of these schools, which will practically transform his future. Additionally, once Shinya reaches his peak, he will return to the organization and work for Qin and his team, reflecting on the importance of strength in this world. Shun-Yi accepts Qian's invitation. He now realizes that his family was once part of a noble lineage, but after his grandfather banished them, they became ordinary people. So ordinary that even the police wouldn't risk helping them. Shinya's parents had to beg his grandfather for the tonic, highlighting their fall from grace. However, today, because Shinya has gained power, he has risen above the rules. When he hurt someone, the police didn't even take action against him, further proving how strength changes everything in this world. Qian takes out a tablet and asks Shun-Yi to provide his fingerprints and signature to proceed with the formalities. As Shun-Yi takes the tablet, his mind is still preoccupied with the realization that strength is the key to survival in this world. Shin informs Shinya that other organizations will likely reach out to him with offers to join them, so he is welcome to take his time and think it over. However, Chun has already made up his mind. Since Chun helped him, he will join his organization. This excites Chun, but he quickly hurries out, explaining that he needs to get permission from Chunya's parents. First, as Chunya is still a minor, Xian rushes off, claiming he doesn't want any other organization to reach out before he secures Shinya's commitment. With that, he leaves in a flash, leaving everyone stunned. Shinya is particularly shocked at how Xian disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the principal and instructor, curious about the meeting, ask Shinya what happened. Shinya reveals that he signed with Qian which excites both of them. Suddenly, Shun Yu's phone rings from an unknown number. When he answers Police Sergeant Luo, Fei Chuan informs him that he has uncovered some information about Xinya's situation and needs to meet him at the police station immediately. Xinya arrives at the police station, where Sergeant Luo asks him to take a look at something he's just received. Even before seeing what Luo has to show, Xinya feels an unsettling presence creeping in. As he steps inside, there's a heavy, almost suffocating atmosphere lingering in the air. Luo shows him a picture one taken by accident that captures the day of Shun Yi's incident. In the image, a suspicious figure stands on top of the hospital. Luo asks if Shun Yi recognizes him, but after zooming in, he realizes he has no idea who the man is. According to forensic experts, the figure appears to be trying to activate something. Luo then asks if Xinya was carrying anything unusual that day. The question catches Xinya off guard. He was indeed carrying that cursed statue, the one with a dark and wicked aura. But if Luo doesn't already know about it, revealing the truth would only bring more trouble. Keeping his expression neutral, Xinya denies noticing anything strange. Luo, however, finds it odd that Xinya didn't experience any physical symptoms. No choking, no sudden loss of control. No blackouts. Xinya plays along, insisting nothing unusual happened. But deep down he knows Luo is onto something. And then there's the other feeling. Ever since he stepped into the office, Xinya has sensed a dark presence, like a shadow lurking just beyond sight, waiting, watching. It's as if something or someone is anticipating a signal to strike. Xinya suddenly reacts as if a realization just hit him, and claims that his backpack was left open when he woke up. Luo, with a hint of suspicion in his voice, asked if he checked inside. Xinya shakes his head, replying that he really should check it now. As he brings up the detail about his bag, he notices something. Luo's hand moves ever so slightly as if he's about to act. A wave of caution washes over Xinya. Just to be safe, he quickly reallocates all his stat points to agility, preparing to bail if things take a turn for the worse. But a lingering thought is still in him, wondering if he could even outrun Luo. The man seems to have insanely high stats. Staying on edge, Xinya suddenly shifts his stance, ready to summon the door beneath his feet at a moment's notice. If anything goes wrong, he can just open it and disappear. Then, out of nowhere, the sudden ringing of the telephone nearly sends him jumping out of his skin. His reflexes almost kick in, and he nearly opens the door by accident, seeing the call as a perfect chance to slip away. Shun Yi quickly excuses himself, but before he can move, Luo firmly insists that he stay put while he answers. Suddenly, Luo stiffens, his expression twisting in shock, as a voice on the other end of the line speaks coldly that it's time for Luo to die. The moment those words are uttered, a blast erupts, striking Luo square in the chest. Xinya immediately realizes that this might be an assassin, but the attack seems to have specifically targeted Luo. Reacting quickly, Luo uses a defensive technique, the same one Shun had taught Xinya to block the attack. As he regains his footing, Luo recognizes that the attacker is right outside the police station. Without hesitation, he smashes through the window and leaps out. Cheney watches in shock as the station's alarm blares, warning that an intruder has breached the premises and advising all non-combat personnel to find a safe spot. However, as Shinyu looks outside, he is shocked that where there should have been a city, he now sees an endless ocean and a massive, eerie graveyard stretching before him. Shinyu notices a man standing atop a tombstone holding a staff. He seems to be the same person who made the call, but his appearance doesn't match the one in the photo. The man reveals that he is here to take revenge for his church members, whom Luo had murdered. However, Luo, standing before him and referring to him as boss, brushes him off, saying he is busy. The man, unfazed, declares that Luo's life is the best explanation he can offer. As he begins channeling energy into his staff, Xinya is suddenly transported back to the city. Both Luo and the mysterious man are gone, leaving Xinya worried that Luo is now stranded in that strange, alien place. At the same time, Xinya senses an eerie presence, as if someone is hiding nearby, creating illusions. Suddenly, his necromantic ability activates, allowing him to communicate with the dead. A notification claims he can ask the body anything he wants, shocking Xinya as this means there must be a corpse hidden somewhere inside Sergeant Luo's office. As he processes this revelation, a voice from behind him suddenly thanks him, sending chills down his spine. The voice claims it never expected to return to its decaying shell. Just to answer questions, the sound comes from inside a cabinet. And as Shun-Yi opens it, he discovers something terrifying. Sergeant Luo brutally slain, with wires piercing through his body. With trembling words, Shun-Yi asks Luo how this happened. Luo reveals that the man in the photo was an assassin who caught him off guard at a critical moment. Luo's weapon malfunctioned, allowing the assassin to strike and kill him. Afterward, the assassin impersonated Luo to lure Shinya into the station. When Shinya asks what the assassin was looking for, Luo explains that he was searching for answers. It now makes sense to Shinya the assassin tried to kill him, but was interrupted by another lunatic, seeking revenge for his fallen church members. Shinya then asks about the assassin, who was taken by the man wielding the staff. However, Luo looks confused. Cheney explains that the area outside the station turned completely red, shifting into something different, and then reverted back. But neither the attacker nor the assassin returned. Luo, now understanding, explains that this was an anomaly. He describes it as an event where another world connects with their own and closes, infecting and consuming an area. In the worst cases, these anomalies escalate into something far more dangerous calamities. Calamities occur when a powerful monster suddenly appears from another world, bringing the potential for widespread devastation. Luo asks if Shinya has heard about Jiangnan City, to which Shinya confirms. He remembers hearing that an earthquake wiped the entire city out. Luo reveals that this was a textbook example of a calamity. Among the 13 million people who live there, not a single soul survived. Luo then warns Shinya to act quickly, as the anomaly he just experienced was a minor one with a time limit, meaning the killer might return soon. Hearing this, Shinya is struck with fear, realizing he is in imminent danger. Luo provides him with a code for the armory pen and instructs him to write it on the wall of the armory, using a special pen he will find inside. He adds that once Shinya reports the truth, he will receive protection, so he must act fast as he finishes speaking. The spell dissipates, signaling that the other party has shared everything they know. All of this makes Shinya realize why the other officers were too terrified to get involved. In his case, one that had already claimed an officer's life. In this world, if someone isn't strong enough, they're simply useless placing the hat back on Sergeant Liao's head. Shinya understands that there might be accomplices of the assassin within the station. He decides to follow Liao's orders and reach the armory safely. After closing the cabinet, Shinya thuds his head against it, overwhelmed by the thought that he might not be strong enough to avenge Luo. However, his determination burns brighter that he will find a way, no matter the cost lost in his thoughts. He is suddenly startled by a knock. A voice calls out from downstairs, informing him that he is needed for screening. An anomaly has just occurred. As the door opens, the captain steps in, accompanied by several police officers. They call out to Shun-Yi, informing him that there has been an attack and that everyone must report to the cybernetic central system for scanning. The captain instructs the others to head down, while he stays behind to speak with Luo and Shinya. As the officers leave, one of them continues calling for Shinya, assuring him that if Luo is the one affected by the spell, he will be safe. Besides, they are all officers, they will take good care of him. Slowly, the captain steps into the office, scanning the room. However, his attention sharpens as he notices that Luo's body has been moved. A surge of alertness kicks in, and in an instant he whips around, searching every corner of the room. Yet Shinya is nowhere to be found. This frustrates the captain, knowing that other assassins will ridicule him for letting Shinya slip away. Pushing aside his irritation, he steps out of the office and issues an immediate city-wide alert, ordering all units to be on the lookout for Shinya, now a prime suspect in the incident. As the captain leaves, an announcement reveals that the cybernetic central system has completed its environmental scan, and everyone must assemble for inspection, waiting until the coast is clear. Shinya steps out of hiding, realizing that his suspicions were correct. The killer had accomplices within the station. Determined, he knows he could escape into the nightmare realm, but he refuses to run. These killers need to be taught a lesson. With that resolve, he jumps out of the window and climbs up to the 3rd floor, where Luo said the armory was located. Inside, he quickly spots the special pen. Wasting no time, he begins writing the code on the door. However, just as he is finishing, the captain catches him in the act, holding a weapon in his hand. The captain demands to know what Shinya is doing. Caught off guard, Shinya nervously stalls for time, forcing a grin, as he jokes that he is just writing an assignment on the door. The captain's eyes widen in shock as he realizes what Shinya is writing on the armory door. The activation code, this isn't just any security mechanism. It's directly linked to the World Government HQ. Someone like Shinya shouldn't even know it exists, let alone have access to the code. Without hesitation, he hurls his weapon at Shinyu with full force. But in the blink of an eye, Shinyu summons his door, positioning it as a shield. The weapon collides against it, but instead of shattering, the door adapts to its surroundings, shifting its material to absorb the impact annoyed. The captain grits his teeth and kicks the door with all his strength, sending it hurtling toward Shunyi. But just as it's about to hit him, he vanishes it instantly now, furious. The captain charges forward, closing the distance in seconds. However, just inches away from his target, Shunyi summons the door once more, this time directly in the captain's path. Unable to stop in time, the captain slams face first into it with a loud thud. That brief moment of distraction is all Shunyi needs. Without missing a beat, he finishes writing the code. The passcode is verified, and an announcement from the world government's top AI reverberates through the area. The AI declares an emergency assessment, scanning the vicinity and locating the body of Sargat Luo. It confirms the false identity of Captain Wong, exposing him as an imposter. The AI announces that it has dispatched the nearest high-ranking practitioner, Manager Chien, to execute the imposter. The AI grants Captain Wong a mere 30 seconds before his execution. Hearing the announcement, Captain Wong's mind races. He believes Shinya is behind this betrayal, and sneers that 30 seconds is more than enough time to kill him. As Shinya attempts to summon another dimensional door, Captain Wong flashes behind him in a blur of motion, seizing Shinya's wrist with a surge of power. Captain Wong sends a devastating punch, hurtling towards Shinya's face. But just as his fist is inches away from impact, Manager Chun arrives in a flash of speed. With a single crushing blow, Chun fists Captain Wong with such force that his body is blasted apart, splattering across the area. With a smirk, Chun casually repeats Shinya's earlier words about fast attacks. The AI now openly mocking remarks that the captain really thought it would count down for 30 seconds. Shinya, still processing what just happened, can't help but think that what Shan just did was pretty damn cool. At the National Security Bureau office, Shin questions Shinya about how he obtained the passcode. Shinya lies, claiming that Luo gave it to him earlier. According to Shinya, Luo was being hunted down and entrusted him with the passcode in case anything happened to him. Hearing this, Shin realizes that Luo might have known about Silent Church, as well as the hitman after him. When Shinya asks about Silent Church, Shin explains that they are an organization, and a recent anomaly is linked to them. He describes them as a group of psychopaths, and speculates that Luo may have crossed paths with them. While working on a case, as Shinya brings up Luo's death, Chien sympathizes, remarking that Luo seemed like a man with a strong sense of justice, and that whatever killed him must have been something truly dangerous. He adds that Shunyi is lucky, as the assassin sent to kill him was intercepted. Chien then reveals that they captured the assassin, who tried to attack Shinyi, but they turn out to be just a member of the League of Assassins, mercenaries who take online contracts. Because of this, they have no way of tracing who hired them. Shinya, processing this information, remarks that whoever was able to hire such a skilled assassin must be someone with serious money. Shun agrees, but questions why anyone would want to assassinate a middle schooler. Shinya, still deep in thought, shifts the conversation, asking about the World Government Center AI. He wonders why Luo didn't use it when he needed help. Shun explains that the system only intervenes in major incidents and requires a special passcode to activate. Luo never used it because he had no idea his weapon had been compromised. At that moment, Chin's assistant steps forward, carrying Luo's robotic hand, his weapon. The assistant reveals that a virus had been planted inside, rendering it completely inoperable. However, the moment Luo died, the weapon started working again. This could only mean that someone close to him had sabotaged. Hearing this, Shinya finally understands why Luo had mentioned that his weapon malfunctioned. The realization is heartbreaking. Luo, an officer who had tried to protect and help him, had died without ever getting the chance to fight back. As Shunyi is lost in thought, Chun speaks up, telling him that as part of their group now, he must remember his first lesson. The lesson is simple but crucial. He should always be wary of people with ill intentions, as they are far more terrifying than monsters. Shinya nods with determination. After that, they leave as Chun has arranged a meeting with Shinya's parents. As they walk out, Shinya asks about the other two individuals who were in the anomaly. Chun reveals that specialized personnel have been assigned to handle the situation. Hearing this, Shungi questions why Chun himself isn't dealing with it, considering he seems quite strong. This prompts Chun to explain that entering the anomaly brings back terrifying consequences. He recalls an incident where someone returned, only to be an empty shell, with something unknown living inside him. That entity wiped out half their city, which is why only specialized personnel are allowed to handle such cases. As they talk, Shin suddenly realizes something and quickly calls someone, instructing them to run a background check on a person named Xiao to determine her connection to Luo. The response on the other end makes Shin's face turn pale. Meanwhile, Shinya notices his reaction and wonders who Xiao is. It seems she has some kind of relationship with Luo. At Shinya's house, his parents request some time alone to discuss matters with their son. Shin excuses himself and steps outside for a smoke, leaving them to talk in private. Once he is gone, Shun Yi's mother reveals his father's history, explaining that he was originally from the illustrious Sanjin Shun clan. Hearing this, Shun Yi realizes just how extraordinary his background is, as he remembers reading in history books that the Sanjin Shun clan was one of the few families to inherit divine powers and artifacts. His father was once a prodigy, but he suffered a chi deviation while practicing, causing him to lose all his strength. Adding to that, he had refused an arranged marriage set by his father, which led to his exile from the family. After that, he and Chun Yi's mother started a peaceful, normal life and raised Chun Yi away from the clan's influence. The reason they are telling Chun Yi all of this now is because of his abnormal talent. If they return to his grandfather, he will undoubtedly agree to welcome him back, granting him access to vast resources and privileges. However, if Shun Yi chooses to join the human martial arts group, he will lose that opportunity forever. Faced with the decision, Shun Yi thinks for a moment before deciding to join the martial arts group. His parents are both surprised by his choice, though his mother remains calm and asks if he is certain. She assures him that if they ask his grandfather, he will help. However, Shinya is firm in his decision. He doesn't want to rely on old family ties. If his parents could carve out their own path, then he believes he can do the same. Despite their feelings, Shinya's friends claim to respect his decision. As he goes to fetch Qian, he knows he can't send his parents to his grandfather's place. Every time they visited, they were met with cold shoulders from both his grandfather and the rest of the family. The only fond memories Shinya has are of playing with the other family children. In his past life, he faced hardships within his family, but in this life, he has found love and support. When they meet with Chun, he is pleased that they have agreed to sign the contract. He informs them that Shinya will be taking part in the entrance exam, 4 top-tier schools in a few days, and wants him to stay at the group's facilities in the meantime. Shinya's mother has no objections, which makes him excited for the opportunity ahead. Meanwhile, in the school hallway, Jo is feeling triumphant. Her videos about Shinya, labeling him as a failure and mentally unstable, are trending, and everyone is talking about them. Smirking, she fans the flames of her propaganda, convinced that after ruining his image, he won't be able to get into any school. Just as she revels in her success, her phone buzzes with a notification. Her post has been flagged for spreading fake news and misinformation, and the martial arts group is preparing to take legal action against her. She stares at the screen in disbelief, shocked that they claim Shinya acted in self-defense. But what baffles her even more is wondering about, what does the martial arts group have to do with any of this? The principal also celebrates Shinya securing a position in the human martial arts group. The realization fills her with despair. She had been so close to success, even sacrificing Sun for it. Now she is in utter disbelief at how he managed to secure a place in the group. Meanwhile, at the human martial arts group building, Chun receives a police report detailing the recent battle that resulted in many deaths, though they managed to capture one of the culprits. Shinya with him wonders if the situation is truly bad, only to discover that Xian has just received 5 merit points for it. These points serve as currency to acquire special items, techniques, and weapons. However, since he does not yet hold an official job title. He hasn't received any direct compensation for providing intel. Just then, Shinyu receives a notification. He has been granted a reward from the world government's rank management department for his contribution in capturing the culprits. The reward is waiting for him at the main entrance of the building. Curious about what it might be, he turns to Chien, who speculates that it is most likely a high-level combat technique. This excites Shinya, as he could really use offensive skills right now. As they make their way to the main hall, a group member approaches Chun, informing him that they have successfully handled the rumor, spreading videos about Shinai. Shinai is treated well as soon as he arrives, with his first paycheck already transferred into his account. A member guides him to his room, where he is greeted by a woman on the screen Mulan. She congratulates him on joining and expresses her gratitude for his support. She advises him to study and train diligently so he can grow into a powerful figure. Before signing off, she surprises him with concert tickets. Seeing that, Shinya realizes that she is the favorite celebrity of the body's previous owner. Shinya is stunned to realize that everything in the room, from the flowers and paintings to the books and even the snacks, aligns perfectly with his tastes. The effort the group has put in for a mere recruit makes him fully grasp the privileges that come with strength. Later, he ascends to the top floor of the building and is awed by the sight of being above the clouds. However, he quickly reminds himself that he must train. His entrance exams are in just 2 days and failure is not an option. As the clock strikes midnight, Shinya opens the nightmare door and steps inside. However, the moment he enters, he is shocked to see the shattered remains of the skeleton monster scattered across the ground. Realizing the danger, he takes a step back, as he knows he can't rush in recklessly, or he might lose his chance for the title evaluation. Suddenly, a weak voice breaks the silence. The skeleton monster is pleading for help, claiming that he is dying. Hearing this, Shinya grows worried, admitting that he doesn't know how to heal the skeleton. Desperately begs for the tonic from last time, urging him to hurry. However, Shinya apologizes as he doesn't have any left. At this, the skeleton falls into despair, accepting that his end may have finally come. But before he can give up entirely, Shunny dashes out, telling him to hang on while he figures something out. His motivation isn't purely out of kindness, as after all, the skeleton is a valuable trading partner. Left alone, the skeleton waits for 2 hours, yet Shinny doesn't return. After a while, Shinny rushes back, sweating, and reveals to the skeleton that he spent every last coin he had to create a giant fish tank filled with calcium, magnesium, and other essential minerals. He is hopeful that soaking in it will restore the skeleton to full health. However, a new problem arises. How are they supposed to get the skeleton into the tank? As they contemplate a solution, the entire nightmare hallway suddenly begins to crumble, sending a shock through Shinya. The skeleton, seeing this, quickly explains that humans and elves are breaking in. The hallway, it turns out, is a secret passageway leading to their undead stronghold, and the attackers are launching a full-scale assault. Too weak to fight, the skeleton hastily hands Shun his special ring, instructing him to hide him inside it. Without hesitation, Shun follows the instructions, absorbing the skeleton's body into the ring. Just as he does, a powerful explosion erupts from the entrance, obliterating the door. It was dangerously close. Had he been even a second slower, both he and the skeleton would have been wiped out. Catching his breath, Shinya examines the ring, wondering if the skeleton is truly inside. A moment later, the skeleton confirms it, revealing that the ring has the ability to store undead beings. He then gives Shuni a final instruction to raise his hand toward the tank and place him inside. As Shuni follows the instructions, he questions the skeleton, pointing out how suspicious he seems. After all, he was sent to assassinate an enemy leader, and now both elves and humans are after him. He then reminds the skeleton that he owes him for saving his life, so he expects full cooperation, especially since he has decided to enter their world. The skeleton is taken aback, shocked that Shinya would willingly step into the midst of the ongoing battle. However, after a brief hesitation, he agrees to help. Shinya knows that the skeleton is a battlefield scavenger, but the skeleton himself lacks confidence. He explains that the truly powerful items are always taken by enemies, when their owners fall. Hearing this, Shinya formulates a plan. If he can disguise himself as an undead, he might be able to wander the battlefield undetected and hopefully earn a new title for himself To make this possible, he asks the skeleton if he has any undead gear or a mask that can hide his human aura. The skeleton reveals his collection of war spoils, though most of it appears to be scraps. Still, he insists that Shinya dig through it and try to find something useful. After searching for a while, Shinya barely manages to piece together a full suit of armor. Along with it, he finds a horse token, which will allow him to summon a skeletal war horse. Once his armor is complete, the skeleton hands him the Centurion mask, imbued with a potent death aura. With it, one can fully disguise themselves as an undead. As soon as Shun-Yi puts it on, his appearance transforms. His flesh vanishes, leaving behind the image of a skeletal warrior. The skeleton monster instructs him to try summoning the warhorse in the undead territory if he's lucky. Hearing this, Shunya grins with excitement, joking that he might even earn a title like Ghost Rider or something. With everything prepared, he summons the gate, ready to step into the battlefield. Before walking through, he warns the skeleton that if he gets caught, they'll find the ring and completely doom them both. However, as he takes his first step forward, he declares that no matter what happens, he'll do his best inside the door. The place is completely trashed. Amid the rubble, Shinyu remembers the dagger he picked up back in the elven lands and decides to use it for extra protection. As he climbs over the debris, a group of human soldiers spots him, mistaking him for an undead. They immediately threaten to kill him. Shinya is shocked to see them here, as this is supposed to be undead territory, and humans shouldn't be present. Quickly, Shun-Yi removes his mask to show them that he is, in fact, human and not undead. However, this only enrages the human knight further, who raises his sword to attack Shun-Yi, accusing him of being a traitor who sided with the undead. As the knight strikes, Shun-Yi blocks the attack with his dagger. Seeing the dagger, the knight is momentarily surprised and refers to it as Nightshade. Suddenly, a nightmare notification window appears, detailing that the dagger is a human scout's dagger, a weapon only carried by trustworthy humans, authorized to relay intelligence. This revelation is enough to make the soldiers trust Shinya instead of attacking him further. The knight helps Shinya up, dismissing the earlier hostility and ordering his men to continue their undead hunt. As Shinya gets to his feet, the knight makes a hand gesture, asking if Shinya needs any help. Shinya, noticing the gesture, realizes it resembles the sign for I love you from his previous world. He also notices the knight staring at his mask, making him wonder if the hand gesture has a hidden meaning. In this world, Shinya decides to play along, bluffing his way through the situation. He mimics the hand gesture in return, claiming that he's in a bit of a bind and would appreciate any help they can offer. The knight, understanding Shun-Yi's situation, hands him a solo combat pack, to which Shun-Yi thanks him and asks for his name, promising to return the favor someday. The knight introduces himself as Roman. However, as they are talking, they hear another knight announcing that Baron is approaching, and everyone should make way for him. Suddenly, a nobleman on horseback arrives, rushing over and demanding to know why Roman is intentionally delaying the battle by standing around chatting with a boy. Roman denies the accusation, explaining that he encountered a scout outside the ruins of a secret passage. This makes Baron suspicious, and he immediately orders Shinya's arrest. Calling him a spy, Roman defends Shinya, revealing that he is carrying a Nightshade dagger, which proves his legitimacy as a scout. Despite this, Baron remains suspicious and demands that Shinya explain his mission and purpose. Shinya, with a serious expression, counters by questioning Baron's identity and why he is interrogating him about his mission. Baron proudly introduces himself as a representative of the Southern Eagle's castle and warns Shinya that if he doesn't cooperate, he will strip him of his belongings and torture him to extract the truth. Seeing the guards closing in on him, Shinya takes out his dagger and calls Baron a sick freak, which enrages the nobleman. Baron orders all the guards to attack Shinya, but just in time, Shinya summons the door and vanishes in front of them, leaving only smoke and dust behind. This leaves the entire group in shock, wondering where Shun-Yi just vanished to, as there were no secret passages or trapdoors in the area. One of the knights speculates that he's heard rumors of nameless assassins joining the battle, making Baron's bold announcement of his name seem reckless. This deeply worries Baron, as if a specially trained assassin, like the ones Roman mentioned, is involved. Targeting him would be effortless, Panicking Baron orders his men to keep moving. Meanwhile, Shun lands back in his room through the door, calling Baron a jerk for jumping on him like that. He then asks the skeleton monster in his ring about the hand signals, but the skeleton knows nothing about them. It simply reminds Shunyu that at the very least, he managed to get out in one piece. Suddenly, a title window appears, granting Shunyu the One of Us title with an excellent rank. This title is awarded because he brilliantly outplayed his attackers. Another notification window reveals that if Shinya earns another One of Us title, he will receive an honorary title called Ordinary Human. With 3 consecutive One of Us titles, he will resonate with powerful forces, summoning a latent ability. Shinya is shocked by this revelation, realizing that if his next title is anything else, he will lose the chance to acquire the latent ability. The question now is, how can he earn the title? Shinya looks at his backpack and realizes that, based on the title's description, he needs to face insurmountable odds and use his wits and the environment to escape. Reflecting on the 2 scenarios where he earned the One of Us title, Shinya recalls being in deep enemy territory, facing life or death crisis, and ultimately outsmarting his enemies to escape. This makes him realize that he needs to replicate such situations, walking on eggshells while navigating extreme danger. However, he hesitates, as attempting this could be incredibly risky. For now, he decides to put the latent ability on hold, as he is deep in thought. His room lock notifies him that he has a visitor, claiming to be from Sergeant Luo's family. The visitor has been verified by the group. A family member of Luo is a surprise, and Shun knows he can't deny the meeting as Luo died helping him. Shun grants permission, and the lock reveals that the meeting has been arranged in a 50th floor lounge there. Shun meets a beautiful girl who introduces herself as Xiao. Luo's younger sister, her title is Great Swordsman, and she is here to ask Shun a few questions. Our boy is shocked to see Xiao's title, as he has never encountered anything like it before. Not even the Elven High Priest had such a title. This makes Shun realize why Chien turned pale upon hearing her name. Xiao extends her hand and reveals that her brother, Luo, had tracked down the guy in the picture. But during their fight, his weapon malfunctioned, resulting in his death, according to her. The malfunction was caused by 2 classmates who tampered with it out of jealousy. With a cold expression, she states that she has already killed them all, which shocks Shinya. She had mentioned earlier that they captured the killer alive, but Zhao's words imply that she killed not only the